I remember when the show ended, when it was coming to an end, I said to my best friend, I'm really going to miss Mordecai and Rigby. And my friend said to me, Jill, you know they're not real, right? I'm like, but they are. Like, I've been living in their world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another regular show Wiki interview. Today's guest is an editor responsible for editing almost every episode of the original series from seasons 3 to the finale in season 8. Everybody, please welcome Jill Calhoun.
Hi. Oh, and my dog's barking too. Can you hear him? Hi, everyone.
So, welcome Jill Calhoun and her dog.
That's right, Rudy.
Well, we'll start from the very beginning. What initially got you interested in editing and kind of made that you feel like this was a path that you wanted to go down?
So I actually, before I was an editor, I was a hair and makeup artist I did predominantly magazine editorial, advertisements, and then I also did TV commercials and celebrity editorial. Um, so I was on set a lot with the commercial work, and also I did like cable junkets and stuff. So when I was on set, I was exposed to the editors, and I loved doing hair and makeup. It was really fun, but it got to a point where it just wasn't cerebral in the way I wanted to work my mind. And I just needed something more. And I had met a bunch of VFX editors on set. Um, and so I learned from them that I really was interested in editing. And so I went back to school. And in school, I found that I was drawn even more to actual storytelling editing as opposed to VFX. And then it just sort of hit.
And then, so how did you end up getting into the industry? Like, what was your first editing job?
So my very first editing job was actually when I was on set doing hair and makeup, I met a lot of art directors. So they knew I was going back to school and they were like, when you're done, reach out to us. So I had reached out to a couple art directors at different ad agencies, and I actually landed a junior editing position at Draft Foot Cone and Belding, where I was cutting Taco Bell commercials and brand essence pieces, director's reels, and I did PSA for Smokey the Bear. It was great. Really fun. So that was my first editing job. It was great, but also advertising is very cutthroat. And it was like you had to wait a long time to get the media. And like I was just a junior editor. So it was a lot of that hurry up and wait. And I had met a friend that was working in animation. So like every day I was like, do you guys need an editor yet? When I went back to school, I also studied media arts and animation. That's really what I went back for. I didn't really like I did a double second degree because I can't draw. Although I have gotten better over the years of working with storyboard artists, but I couldn't draw, so I audited all the media arts and animations classes, and I actually got my degree in media design. So I was learning like web design and web programming and all that stuff. Anyway, that went above and beyond what you asked. I need to learn to edit myself.
Well, how did that all sort of lead into you eventually getting on to working for regular show?
So that friend who I called every day finally was like, actually, yeah, he worked at Mike Young, which is now, I think, Splash Entertainment. They've gone through a few different iterations of names, but it's a mom and pop company. Great people. They were so much fun. To work with. Like, I guess I skipped ahead. I ultimately got a job with them because my friend that I had met was like, we need an animatic editor. And I had been doing animatics with the Taco Bell commercials. Like they called them flip-o-matics or board-o-matics, and it was part of the job. And so I had to do a few tests, but I started there doing Twisted Whiskers. Wow, this is a long time ago. And I took over for Greg Levitan, and he really kind of trained me. Like we had a crossover for a couple weeks where he trained me and he's like, I'm available if you need to reach out, have questions or whatever. So he and I stayed in touch. And when I was done at Mike Young, it just happened to be that he was moving from Cartoon Network to Disney. So he recommended me, and that's how I landed the job at Cartoon Network on regular show. And it was fantastic. I love regular show and JG and Mike and everyone I worked with. It was just a great experience.
So obviously there are also a few episodes which you worked on with Greg Levitan. Can you kind of talk about like what it was like working with him on regular show?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Greg and I made a great team. We have a lot of similar sensibilities and timing. Our humor matches, and like we both worked on the feature. I don't know about him. I can't speak for Greg, but I feel like when we've cut things, if I did one half and he did the other, it was pretty seamless. Like we definitely have similar sensibilities and timing and humor. And it probably helped that I was trained by two people. I was trained at Nickelodeon because by someone named Steve Downs, because I was an intern there while I was in school. And then on the job, Greg trained me. So those were my two trainers. And so, I think it's really fun working with someone that you are comfortable with and you have a good rapport. And, he's a great guy. So it was super easy to work with him. There were no like problems or anything like that. Sorry, it's kind of a boring story, but I feel like, yeah, we worked great together. I think the collaboration was really fun. Regular show in particular, being a board driven show, was very collaborative, and a lot of the work, um there was a lot of work done in editorial with the directors and JG and the writers. It was just very collaborative. So sharing episodes with Greg, sharing the feature with Greg, it felt very natural, and it was great. It was great.
Well, obviously, as I'd mentioned to you before we started recording, um, I know very much what an editor does, but it's very possible there'll be people out there watching this who has never really considered what an editor does before. So could you kind of break down like what the role entails for anyone that's unaware?
Sure. And you mean specifically for animation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I love when people ask this question because I feel like it's pretty universal that what you said is accurate. Most people don't know what an editor does, but they definitely can feel what an editor does. And I think the sign of a great editor is when someone's watching something and they don't even notice it was edited. So basically in animation, to answer your actual question, what we do as editors is we take the footage, so the storyboards, and we bring them in, and they're usually brought in at like, whatever 12 or 24 frames per panel. Um, and using the storyboards as a guide, we put the dialogue in, place it where it's supposed to go. And again, it's a guideline. You can sometimes, like the board artist might have all the dialogue written on one panel. Well, obviously, you're not going to hold Mordecai, you know, standing in the air in the middle of a jump. So, you time it out, and you time the whole thing out, the action, where the dialogue is, but the board artist gives you the guidelines of like kind of where it goes. And then once you do a pass of putting in the dialogue and timing, like rough timing. And I usually call it like the skeleton of the animation because you don't have every single in between. It's just like, I, I'm going to grab this pen and then the pen's here. You have this drawing and this drawing. So you have to kind of time it out so your eye sees this happen, even if it's not. And then after that pass, you do a sound effect pass. And during that pass, you sometimes finesse the timing as well. And then I save music for the very end. I like to save it even sometimes for after you meet with the director for the first time, only because you want to make sure the story's working. But I think nowadays it's more common that we just do the whole thing, sound effects, music, everything. And then, as an editor, I'll watch it through a couple times and I make sure that I have one complete build with everything delivered so that the director can see what we were given. And then I might offer some alt solutions where, like, if something isn't landing emotionally or like the joke isn't funny, but I have an idea of what would make it funny, or sometimes, we're cutting too many times and, I'll consolidate it into one camera angle, but those are all alts, and if the director wants to see them, great. If not, then he doesn't. And then that's that's the preliminary part for an animation editor. Then once everything goes overseas or to, if you're in like at Sony, it's in-house. On regular show, it went overseas. So then there's a post editor. And when I was on regular show, I didn't cut post for that show. So but I do know, as a post editor, you're still tweaking that timing. You are that regular show's 2D, but if it's CG, then you're going to have layout and lighting and animation. Like there's different stages that you put it all in. Um, Predominantly, the storytelling aspect is done during the animatic phase. So if story isn't working, it's going to be rewritten and redrawn either in editorial or outside of editorial, and then editorial puts it in. The post side people have described as more technical, but I mean, I still think there's a rhythm to it and that it is an art. But anyway, I hope that clarifies things.
And I might be completely misremembering this now, but I think you actually appeared in like an interview with JG for like just like a few seconds.
I did.
There's like a part where they go into and you're editing, you're putting together an animatic, and I know Mike Roth was also there.
Very possible. That sounds right.
What would you say that your creative process is like? Like, what sort of software is involved?
So software wise, I cut in Avid now. Believe it or not, regular show was cut in Final Cut 7. I think we ultimately may have moved to Premiere. I know JG's second show we cut in Premiere, but I'm pretty sure we stayed in Final Cut, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyone out there, you can correct me. But I'm pretty sure we were in Final Cut. And creatively for regular show, it was really unique as a board driven show because it wasn't like we did have circle takes and everything from dialogue, but there was just a lot more creativity for the board artist and an editorial for the story to take shape. It was a very organic, fun, time intensive process. So, I would do a rough build and my editor's pass. And then there were times where Mike, John Infantino, and JG at the very beginning were sitting in the room with me drawing things. We had a scanner that would scan them in. Um, and we would talk through things, try to figure things out pacing wise. Why isn't this working? We would have discussions. Like I just particularly remember editing the episode with the when Benson was having the hot chili and he starts hallucinating. and we used that song.
Mississippi Queen.
Yes, thank you very much. But I can like remember as if I'm there, Mike and I working like overtime and creating that video on the fly. And it was just so much fun. And what I loved about it is like, everyone was so collaborative that I could be like, oh, what if we did this? And they might be like, I felt safe to offer up ideas. And then, they would either be like, yeah, let's put that one on the back burner. Or they'd be like, great idea, Jill, let's use that. It was great. There was no like ego, it was just fun. So that was the process of regular show. And every show you work on, every project is unique in process. So I'm going to answer for the one we're talking about. And it was very special.
It's funny, there's a similar like progression there to like what I did. I start when I was first, I mean, going all the way back when I first started doing any sort of editing. I think it was probably Windows Movie Maker. Um, that was years ago. And then at one point I switched over to iMovie, and then that naturally transitioned into Final Cut. And now I'm editing on Premiere. So this will be edited in Premiere. Fun fact to anybody who was ever curious about what we edit these interviews in.
Yeah, the first thing I ever edited at all um, was in iMovie, and it was another thing that really sparked me becoming an editor. And you're going to laugh, but it was for my honeymoon video. I edited all these videos that we took on our trip to Hawaii, and it was like I disappeared into it. It was just so amazing and fun. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, I didn't want to, like, you lose time, you sort of get into the vortex. And it was just so much fun. But that was iMovie. So don't knock it. It has its purposes.
Onto what you were saying about how like a good edit is one that people don't notice. That's also something that like I've on a constant just been telling myself all the time that like a bad edit, what you don't want is an edit that everyone is instantly like, oh, I noticed that they cut that thing there, or you don't want it to be noticeable. Um, Whereas with a good edit, yeah, you a good edit goes unnoticed, which I think that is one part that makes people like yourself like the unsung heroes of these projects. Because like just like one bad cut between like two shots could ruin an entire film's reputation.
Yeah. And also, I think it's the pacing. Editing with proper pacing is so important, keeping it lyrical and rhythmic. And I mean, really, movie making and TV, it's like, it's a visual symphony. So I think, understanding the musicality of editing is also important. So, if you're a rhythmic person at all and you're watching a movie and it feels wrong, because it's probably because the editing isn't paced properly. So, but when it feels right, you don't notice it because you're just going with the flow.
I know like with Bohemian Rhapsody, there was a big thing about like there's one scene and there's like 100 cuts in it that are completely like irrelevant to what's happening in the scene. Like it's just cut in between all the band members. I remember that when I was at university, that was like an example they showed us of bad editing. That in itself, I think that's quite a noticeable edit, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people got motion sickness.
It's interesting because you're talking about a musical, and I just was watching Song Sung Blue, which I don't think got a lot of like hype or anything, but I started watching it. And I think sometimes noticing the editing, especially in a musical, it can be not a bad thing. Like, I think that movie was I mean, this is my personal opinion. I just think that movie was really creatively edited. And it's really cool how the editor chose to bring you in and out of certain sequences and time jumps using sound design and cutting. It's a very interesting. There are interesting choices, and yes, you feel it, but it still fits with the rhythm. It's cool. Like it's actually. I didn't finish the movie because I didn't want to cry. It's a sad movie, but edited, it's really well edited. I was really impressed. I don't know who edited it. I need to look that up and give them credit. Good job, whoever. You did a great job on that movie. Oh, you know what other musical is really well edited is with also interesting cuts where like you feel the cuts, but like you notice the editing, but it's really, really good, is the Elton John movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
I'm curious to know, obviously, regular show was like 9, 10 years ago now. There's many projects that you've done since then. So I'd like to kind of know like how has your process changed in when it comes to editing animation since your time on regular show?
Oh my gosh, I've grown a lot. I mean, I grew a lot just working with that team in particular as well. I mean, you learn from the people you're with, and they were all so creative and also helped me feel safe and to be creative and give my input. So, I feel even stronger now that, or safer now that to give those alt cuts, to offer things up to the director that I'm working with. I like, I think it's important to have these ideas to share, alt solutions to things. And I think it's important to know when to share them. And I think, you learn that over time, like the right time to bring things up. And another thing I learned, and I actually learned this from Mike Roth. Thank you, Mike. Every single note, I do every single note. And I don't know how I felt back then doing every single note. But now I look forward to it because even the notes that are like in my mind, like this is not going to work, but I'm going to do it, and I do it with a good attitude and I'll do it. And then I'll be like, holy shit, it's good. Like you never
It
know.
helps you to learn more and more.
Yeah, like it would, so I think I've learned over time the significance of like, don't knock it till you try it. Um, And what else has changed? I mean, obviously, after 10 years, I've gotten like super fast. I think I'm a lot faster at like finding sound effects or even understanding the vernacular of what people are asking for. I am definitely at a point where I'm doing a note as an alt before I'm asked to do the note, um, because I know it's going to be asked. And I think that comes from experience. I think another thing that's changed is just an industry thing where like I feel safer to just be myself and be authentic and, not worry so much about being perfect or like, impressing the right person. I just try to do, I don't try, I do the best I can do. And I do have a lot to offer. I'm pretty creative and, if someone doesn't want to work with me right now, maybe another time. I mean, I don't want to push it. Like when I first started, I was so hungry to be in the industry. I think I was a little bit like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like trying to like, do you need an editor? But and then there's still, I don't know if that will ever die in me because I love editing, I love storytelling, and I love helping directors and showrunners make their vision come to life. So I'm always gonna be like, do you need help? But it's from a different place now. So that's different. Um, but like, the basic process, what's changed has just been what's changed in the industry. Like you kind of roll with things as things advance. Um, like so.
And I mean, one thing as well. So you're editing animatics. One thing I feel like I have to ask, if you could remember this, are there any temp tracks which stick out to you particularly that didn't make it into the final show?
Okay, so also love this question because for me, in regular show, the music was a character. Like I approached the sound design and the music as if that music was one of the team because it was. um I hope I'm allowed to say this, but we weren't allowed to use Led Zeppelin. It was too expensive. So I remember putting that in and being told to take it out, which is which was fair. I think it's super expensive. Um I'm trying to think like there's other times where like I've been really impressed with how Mutato Music and Mark Mothersbaugh and their team there like really took what I put in and made it unique and made it, a different song, but that had a nod to what I used. I think they did a great job of that. Can you hear the him barking?
It's playing like it's an effect on your voice.
Oh my God, that's so funny. It's like this whole podcast is going to have this dog thread. The our theme, our reoccurring motif today is dogs. Um but anyway, like I'm trying to remember. It's funny, I remember stuff that did get in. I mean, like that birthday song episode was hysterical. And we did go through a lot of different iterations. Um but like things that I loved or something that didn't get in? No, not really. Like I feel like we were all I'm thinking about it as I'm answering it. So I think there were times where I would put stuff in, but then, and then Mike or whoever I was sitting with would be like, I'm not feeling that. It's too, whatever the descriptive was. And then I would find something else. Or, just Mike Roth is excellent with music. So he would be like, I don't love this, but I get what you're doing with it. Let's try this song. And then it would be like perfect. um, so but yeah, no, I can't think of something where in the animatic where it like didn't get used. But I guess it either got licensed or Mutato would do a nod to it.
We spoke to a couple of the guys from Utado. Um, so I asked them a similar question.
I think they were amazing. And they were like on every episode. But music was very important in that show and it was great because working on it for so long, I learned so much about music. And there were a lot of musicians that worked on the show. So, after regular shows, soon thereafter, I ended up cutting a musical with Paul McCartney. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I imagine there would have been no chance of getting a Paul McCartney or a Beatles song into a regular show because I think if Led Zeppelin's expensive, I think the Beatles are probably like 10 times that.
I don't know though, because Paul loves animation. So he might have been cool with it. Can't speak for him, but I do know that he likes animation.
They should have got him to guest star on the show.
That would have been really cool. Well, maybe for the new ones.
So, is there a specific sequence just from any episode in the show which you look back on and you're like, it makes you really proud?
So it's funny, like immediately it comes to mind. And well, there's a few, but the first one that came to my mind was the excellent episode with the montage under I Need a Hero. I loved editing that and I put that song in and they ended up licensing it. That was really cool. Also, the fight with the most excellent burger when they're holograms and they're fighting with their holograms. I had had this dream years ago of a weird of a pillow fight with that song in it. Maybe I saw it somewhere, I don't know, but And I ended up putting it in the animatic, and JG loved it, and I was so happy. And it was a classical piece, so it was like, I don't even think they had to pay. I think it was like pre-cop, not even under copy. I could be wrong, I don't know, but that whole fight scene was amazing and so much fun to edit. Um, and then the last one, it's funny because it's all about like I said, a regular show, music is a character. I also am proud of the music video that Mike and I did for with Mississippi Queen. It's really cool. Oh, and also the I'm like the entire episode of the 150-piece drum kit or like that whole episode was so good.
I do especially like when the visuals just suddenly get trippy in like the different montages. There's a few like I know there was survival skills where they eat tree bark. Mordecai turns into like a taco and Rigby's like an 8-bit sprite. That one like always sticks out in my mind as like, oh, I love how that looks just the whole time.
I feel like that was a Greg episode, but it was still really good. I don't It might have been me. I don't remember. It's a blur.
It says here that you did edit that one.
Oh, all right, then I did. I mean, it's been so long, I don't really remember every single one, which is weird because I feel like I should remember every single one. I remember when the show ended, when it was coming to an end, I said to my best friend, I'm really gonna miss Mordecai and Rigby. And my friend said to me, Jill, they're not real, right? I'm like, but they are. Like, I've been living in their world. I think that's another thing about my process I didn't really talk about. I really would like, I wouldn't read the everything ahead. I was building the episode as I was living it. And so I would be like sitting in my chair, like acting out, and I could feel, I really learned how to feel what the characters felt. And I think that's made a huge impact, positive impact on my editing now, having empathy and knowing when the cut's right because you can feel what they're feeling.
I mean, kind of on the flip side of things you're proud of, is there anything you look back on and think I could have done that a little bit differently?
Oh my gosh, I wish it was like not so long ago. Um, I mean, I'm sure there are episodes, but I feel like since it was such a collaboration, I don't know that I would feel like negative about anything, but something that specifically I could have done better. Like, every time I didn't get the music right, I would feel bad. Or, I always wanted to make them happy, but I don't remember. I know there were times where my rough builds maybe weren't. I mean, obviously we don't nail it every time, so. But I can't think of a specific, man, I wish that was different. I'm trying to think like in the character plot and stuff like that. But no, I mean, I think everyone did a great job. And I should say that too, even when I was saying about the stuff I remember that I did, it was a collaborative. So the artwork was amazing. It wasn't just me, it was like the whole team um, with those episodes. I just think we had such a talented group of collaborative people that really knew how to communicate with each other. Of course, after 7 years together, you can finish each other's sentences. It definitely helps. Um, and, shout out to Janet Diamond and Ryan for putting together such a great team. And they were great. It's hard being a producer, a line producer. You're dealing with execs up above, and I never felt that. And Mike was just really great at being like, saying thank you all the time, thank you so much. This is great. And he would also pull you aside when he didn't like it. Or if I don't, yeah, like this isn't working. Let's try this. And I really appreciated that. I think so. I don't know. I wouldn't change anything.
Well, I mean, I think that's great because I can't think of any bad moments editing wise in regular show.
I think, and a lot of it too is JG. He's so talented and creative. Like I would do any show he wanted me to.
Well, beyond like favorite sequences, have you got just any favorite episodes? Not just like favorite episodes that you've edited, but just like from an outside perspective, episodes you really enjoy.
I do really love that uh drum one. It's just really fun. I am a little biased because I played the drums. But it's just funny. Um, and I love the hamburger one with the holograms. And I also, my top three would be those two. And then there was one where they were like trying to get the recipe for a burrito or a burrito, and they met like some samurai or something, and they were like hopping through different. That one was awesome. Those, I think those were my three favorite full episode. Like, when people are like, what should I start with? Those are the ones I'm going to tell them to watch.
Sticking with favorites, any favorite characters from the series?
Oh my God, it's so hard. You know what? Whether I know it or not, it's Rigby. I mean, I quote him all the time. Like I don't know, I was doing something silly the other day and I'm like, cause it's you're the Rigby, baby. um, I just I can't believe I'm admitting this, but I can relate to Rigby. I just really like Rigby. I don't know. He's my favorite. Him and then I loved the Santa.
And kind of closing off on favorites. Any favorite specific favorite memories that still stick out to you today?
The overall experience was just fantastic. Uh, Mike and John and JG used to draw like little post-its and stuff when we were having, brainstorming sessions and editorial. And some of the funniest stuff came out of that. And not necessarily for the show, just like fun personal jokes and stuff like that. I think that those are like maybe that's it. My favorite. I mean, it's hard. The whole thing was my favorite. It's such a great experience. I've been really blessed. Like working there was great. I haven't, knock on wood, had a lot of bad experiences on projects. I've been really blessed that way. And regular show does stand out, and maybe because we were together so long, but it felt like a family to me. So I loved that part about it too. And yeah, everyone was just really nice. We had each other's backs. That's how it felt to me. I can't speak for the whole team, but I loved it.
What would you say are some of your like biggest inspirations for doing the work that you do?
Well, okay, so personally wise, my biggest inspiration would be Kevin Tent. Um, he's an amazing editor and he edits the type of shows. I have a few different things that I'd like to edit, but he's edited a lot of shows that I would have been like, this looks like it would have been so awesome to edit. Like The Holdovers is fantastic. It's just so good. It's not animated, but and I'm good with that. Like I cut both. So I just love that coming of age and like character driven narrative, and he's really got that nailed. I think he's so talented. Um Obviously Walter Murch, like he's a huge, everyone loves Walter. And it's funny, like I like the stuff he's edited, but I love his like stories and his perspective. He's a really inspiring man. And Ben Burt, who probably you don't know because you're young, but you might know he's a sound designer. Um, I worked with him. He's the first person I ever worked with in the industry, and He's a huge inspiration. All my mentors, like I kind of find inspiration everywhere, really. That's such a boring answer, but it's true. Like I'll watch movies, sometimes watching really, really obscure, supposedly bad movies inspire me. Like I just watched the movie Zombiever and I'm like, this is awesome. Like I would totally want to edit that movie. How fun. It's a comedy, it's action, it's silly, it's like kind of out there. I don't know, it was great. Like, so different movies will inspire me. But editorially speaking, like the person that inspires me the most as an editor, I would say is Kevin. I just think he's awesome. Um, but there's a handful more. I just don't have their names like at the top of my tongue.
And for anybody out there who wants to work as an editor, what sort of advice would you like to give to them?
So I would give them the advice that I was given 20 years ago, which is if you really love this and this is your passion, don't stop doing it. Like just keep doing it. And that's what someone told me once. Even when it feels like you're not going to be able to find your next gig or like you don't know what's to come, keep going. And then also, on a technical standpoint, I would say, be software agnostic, learn everything. Just keep editing, keep going. Do what you do, the editorial things that you love to do. Try things creatively, experiment. Um, just keep editing no matter what it is. Even if it's a wedding video, do it. That's my advice. And, also get to know your peers and be kind to one another and support each other because I think that is what gives people longevity.
And well, unfortunately, we are heading towards the end of the interview now. But before I let you go, I'd just like to ask if there's anything that you've been working on recently or that might be coming up that you'd like to promote.
I wish, but I am on an unannounced feature. It is animated. That's all I can say. I can't say anything else. Yeah, and I have a few live action thing. Actually, you know what? I did just finish a live action short that is circulating. It's called See You Later, and it's fantastic. I should also promote Angry Birds 3 is coming out. It's fantastic. Everyone needs to see this movie. It's so good. It has heart, and obviously, per Angry Birds, it's hilarious. The music is fantastic. It's coming out, I want to say December.
And where can people find you on social media?
So my handle is at Jill on Toast, and I am private, but just request. And I usually, if you're not a fake handbag company or something like that, I usually accept. So, just DM me. Um, I'm there on Instagram. Did I say Instagram?
Jill, thank you very much again for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. Keep in touch.
Thank you once again to Jill Calhoun and her dog for joining us for this interview. If you'd like to see more of her work or pictures of her dog, then make sure you follow her on Instagram at Jill on Toast. All of her links will be in the description. Next time, we'll be speaking with Brian Mann, a storyboard artist who has been working on the new series Regular Show The Lost Tapes. Here's a preview.
Everybody on the team loves watching movies, and so sometimes I get these gems of movies that I never saw when I was younger that I get to go back and you know, watch some old stuff, and sometimes it's really goofy. Other times it's like legitimately good films, and we all get to laugh about these movies that each of us through our walks of life have watched and been inspired by.